Hey there, Fight here with a super quick demo of our plugin. So rather than show you all the cool features we've got at the background or in the admin interface, I'll show you what this thing can do, because that ultimately is what you need in order to sell more stuff. So the fundamental idea behind this entire product is this. You get people in through surveys, and the reason for this is basically surveys and quizzes. Anything where I've got some kind of interaction going gets people really engaged, and at the end of the survey or sometime during the survey you either sell them something or you put them into an email autoresponder, and that is where the second part of this whole magical thing happens. Namely, you put them into an autoresponder sequence which is based on the answers they've given you. So to illustrate this here, if you had a survey that asked, what is the most important aspect of IAM for you at this time? And if someone goes in, well, freedom. All right, cool. Now you know something about that person. They're interested in freedom. If you come in and constantly pitch them with something that has nothing to do with this ultimate outcome, freedom, that's not going to resonate with them. But if you now go in and have a short sequence of emails that talk about freedom, they're very interested. And of course, this is using IAM as an example because we're all IAMers, but you could do this, for example, on Amazon. Someone comes to your website, which is all about coffee in general, and they happen to come into your website through a search phrase which indicates that they're interested in espresso. Well, obviously, you want to hit them with a nice little survey that's all about espresso, but then you want to figure out, are they interested in these sort of capsule type things or the little pad things, or are they like the hardcore old guys who want to do the genuine Italian style? And that way, once again, it's almost like reading their minds. And it's not only you finding out what they want, it's also the other way around. Ask yourself, whenever you take a survey, you get engaged in the whole thing. You commit to what's happening at the end. Exactly that is the purpose of all of this. So I'll just show you a couple of screens here. So freedom, okay? So here's a multiple choice thing, and you can design these any way you like. So what we've got here is basically a background image. We've got some HTML text up here, which is super easy to set up with an editor. You've got your choices here, and you've got a next button. All configurable. You can do anything you like. You could have a video up here or no video. You can have a plain white background, whatever you want to have. I'll go to the next one. I've just set up a different group of different things. So rather than always having questions, you can also give some feedback. So here's a bit of feedback. Once again, you can choose the font, the color, the size, the alignment, anything you like. And this time I've chosen a small next button, well, a different one. Then you can also ask people open questions. Once again, here, just basically put in your question. Here's the field. You can design the size, everything of this whole thing. Another type of thing you can do is basically just have a splash page and have a little thing at the bottom. And this is the idea. You can basically use this to sell anything, anywhere. So although on the surface it looks like this is about finding out what people want and then putting them into autoresponder sequences, which are all based around that interest, that's all true. But that's not going to stop you from selling something. So take, for example, Amazon. Like I said, people come to your website, and we've got some really cool SEO features. So if someone finds your website through the term whatever, Gaggia 1410, which happens to be sort of a higher end espresso machine, you already know something about them, and our surveys can take that into account. So you can fire up specific surveys specifically for that search phrase. You can use wildcards to have like all the Gaggia machines go into in one group, all the Euro machines go into another survey. You can use text replacement, all very, very cool stuff. But the idea is basically someone comes in and you help them find the solution that is right for them. With Kindle, you can do a super cool thing. You may know, if you're doing Kindle, that you can have the preview on Amazon. Well, in that thing, stick a survey in the free part that everyone can read, even if they don't buy the book. You send them to a survey, you survey them, you find out what they want, and you put them on your list. Right? You can sell stuff on ClickBank, on JVC, whatever. So yeah, that's one option. And then, of course, you can, once again, this is, it's not the prettiest one, but you get the idea. This is a different format. That's why I've used this. And you can have your email, you can capture a name if you want to, you can sign up with Facebook, you can have social media buttons on here, all that kind of stuff. So that is what we can do with this thing. So now, very, very quickly, let's have a look at the back end. So show you the core features in there. So here we are in the back end, and if I now move my screen in here, SurveySnatcher, here it is. You've got your surveys, which is this here, it's my list, and you can have an unlimited number of surveys on your site. So why would you want unlimited surveys? Because you might have one page or a post which is all about Euro coffee machines. So you want to have a very specific survey about Euro on that one, or you might have a different page on, you get the idea. So you can do them as specific as a page. There was a question earlier. Someone asked me, what about the single site, and do I need multiple sites and all that kind of stuff? The plugin is completely branding free, so what you saw earlier, all those splash screens, you can design anything you like, and there's no branding on there, and nowhere does it mention your website. But because of the way it's designed, it needs to be installed, so you can only fire up surveys on the same domain on which you have the plugin. So if you only have one domain on which you want to do surveys, you only need the single license. If you have multiple domains, you need the multi thing. It's just a technical limitation. So you can do all, have as many as you like. You can do all kinds of cool stuff. You can switch them on and off here in the dashboard. You can edit them. You can export them, export the data, the results, to figure out what people are responding, all that kind of stuff. You can duplicate them and you can delete them. Now, why do you want to duplicate them? Because we've got split testing here. So you might have a situation where I hope I set this up correctly. Okay, let's see. No, that's not the one, but one more repeat should. No, it's obviously the wrong screen. Give me 1 second. Alrighty. It was the wrong screen, I just didn't press refresh, and that's why that same thing kept coming up. Alright, so I've just set up on exactly the same screen, the same domain, a different survey. Now, okay, this is a bit of a stupid example because we're comparing IM versus children's clothing, but you get the idea. Here we've got a splash screen where we're talking about what age group is the appropriate one, which by the way is a cool illustration of how you can use this, for example, as a service to sell to offline businesses. There's just one example here. So we've got split testing in there, and that's why you want to have duplication features where you go, I just want to test whatever the headline or the color scheme or an image in the background, or maybe even the type. So what we've seen here, this is a splash screen, okay, it completely blanks out the entire page, whereas previously it was a pop-up, and you just want to see which one's more effective. And then in the split testing, you've got obviously reporting, which ones convert better, etc., etc. We've got the SEO part, and I'm going to leave it at that because we're already running at almost 8 minutes. The SEO part is super cool. Let's just go in here and have a look at this incredible coolness. Okay, so what you do is you set up SEO rules, and there you say, this is my rule, whatever. I happen to have on my blog a blog post which ranks for the salty droid. When I can have that salty droid in there, go. And which one do I want to serve up? Well, these are ones, the active ones, so I want to serve up this one. This is just the internal name. When someone in the search engines in Google says salty droid. Boom, there you go. By the way, one small minor thing. The parsing of keywords in the search engines doesn't work via the secure line, so the HTTPS, okay? It's just the way it is. So when you've got an HTTPS setup, which is, for example, the case when you're logged into your Google account, and overall, apparently this affects 7% of all searches. No biggie, but when you go in and test this thing, because you happen to know your blog ranks for, whatever the term is, and you go there and you find out, oh, this doesn't work, that's one of the reasons why it doesn't work. When you're logged into your Google account, then it basically sets all the Google searches to HTTPS, but that's it. So what we've got now is this thing comes in, and the moment someone types in salty droid, and you can have whatever salty boop. Now of course now it would fire up for salty pretzels as well, and then the survey pops up. You can do all kinds of cool things. You can replace the name on the page. Let me just show you a quick. No, actually, I'll put an example down on the sales page so you see how this all works. So all in all, that's what the thing does. That's the big thing. Get people in, get them really engaged by super targeted content, which you can do with the SEO thing. It can split test. Anyone can test their way to success by just taking 2 different surveys and seeing which one works better. And over time, you get better and better performing surveys that really pull people in, and then you either sell them something or you put them in an email list, or of course you do both and sell them something immediately. And then at the end of the survey you can do redirects and all that kind of stuff. So there's tons and tons of good stuff in here. Go check it out. Have fun with this. Cheers.